Hi, this is Kim White with the My Sexy Business Team, and I'm here with my co-host,
Coni Meyers, Kick Butt Leadership.
she has joined me all the way from Vegas to Texas to be here at the fourth official Hope to Hope conference. And wow is all I can say. This is an amazing thing that started years ago, actually, when my son passed away. And I had to learn a different way to handle that grief. And I started celebrating his life through serving. And this is one of the outcomes is this conference. Well, I can't think of anyone more amazing or more like special to me than our next guest, because I'm telling you, she's come into my life actually recently. It hasn't even been like 30 years, even though it feels that way. But she is an amazing podcaster. She is on a mission to help families in particular with their kids and their devices instead of, them being drawn away from the family time because of it. She's actually teaching families how to come together around podcasting and around devices, and I cannot say enough good things. So welcome Yong Pratt to the Hope to Hope conference.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Coni. It's such an honor to be here. Thank you.
I'm so glad you said yes. That's my big thing is I want people to say yes always.
It was definitely a huge yes for me. Absolutely.
Well, I appreciate you, and I want to get right into what you want to talk about today, because this conference is all about the different things that we all go through. Not all of us are going to go through what everyone else did, but everyone's got a story that can help someone wherever they're at in life and whatever thing they're trying to get through. And you have lots of stories. You are an amazing person, just in general.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I have tons of stories I could share, but I really want to talk about something you just mentioned and about celebrating family, because what I do today is really a reflection of something that happened in our family. A year and a half ago, my youngest brother, my only brother, passed away very unexpectedly, and it threw me for a loop. I didn't really know what the heck happened, and I felt like I was living sort of in an alternate universe. And what I discovered quickly in that time was that I really found out who my friends were. And people who I thought were my friends, it was surprising to me, the conversations we had after the fact. But what happened for me is that I sort of retreated, and the place that I felt safe was technology, doing things like building websites, doing podcast editing, making graphics, doing everything behind a computer where I could close the door and really shut out the world and kind of shut out the emotions a little bit, because I needed a way to cope with things. And that's what I did. So for, 6 months or so, I worked almost entirely with other business owners doing their technology, because it was something concrete. You could have a beginning, you could have an ending, and there was a path. There was no uncertainty. It was pretty much, okay, cut and dry, A, B, C, D, E, we're going to go down this list and make it happen. And it was really an interesting time for me, because what I realized is that even though I had run a business for 16 years in the performing arts, it was always about teaching kids how to express themselves through the arts and through different mediums. This idea of technology was always sort of there, and I never really knew what to do with it. So after the fact, I kind of set out on a mission and asked myself the question, what if I could bring in my kids into my business and show them how to do really meaningful work, doing things like the techie things, like putting together websites and editing podcasts and creating graphics. And it was just a little experiment, because at my core, I'm a bit of a detective. I like to seek and find and look under rocks and really find answers for myself, so that when I'm helping other people on their journeys, I can see those things sort of just form around them. And so, yeah, that led to creating this brand new venture in January, where now my kids are an integral part of my business, which is so amazing for me as a mom, because now I'm not having to trade time in my business for time with my kids. What we create on our devices is something we do together, and we're using our devices in a really positive manner, and really using that time, like you said, to bond with our kids. And lots of people come to me and say, my kid is spending all this time on their device, and they get very frustrated with the fact that their kid is zoning out, not enjoying family time, just, retreating. So what the work that we do allows families to communicate using a device we all have in common. And that's been such a blessing to me. So from out of heartache came this great, amazing idea that was never there before. It was never a consideration. So I definitely need to thank my brother for, for what he's given to me and leading me to this new path, so that we can help families heal if they need to. We can help families communicate, and we can help families know that the stories they have to share and the adventures that they're taking need to be shared with other people, because somebody needs to hear their message.
I think that's beautiful.
So awesome. And I know one of the things that you've taught in your group, and I always get the name wrong. It's Our Young Creators, or is it Raising Creators?
So there's two things. So the business is called Our Young Creators, and that's the podcast. And we do have a daily flash briefing, so a little mini, 2-minute show on Amazon, and that's called Raising Creators. So we have both things. And our group on Facebook is also called Raising Creators.
I'm sorry, I can't keep it straight.
There's lots of words, I know. And when I made the choice to call them different things, that thought crossed my mind too about, am I going to confuse everybody? But really, the whole thing is Our Young Creators is that this movement, or this collaboration between people all around us, not just parents, not just grandparents, but everyone who our families interact with, really have a meaningful impact in our lives. So it's all about collectively, that we're raising these kids together, and we're raising these creators who go on to become the innovators and the leaders who are creating not only brighter futures for themselves, but can then go on to serve others and help other people to share their message and to really become creators in the process.
I am very certain that there is a lot of families out there that would like to know more about that, for sure. Yeah. Can you give us an idea of maybe one of the projects you've done with your kids?
Absolutely. So my latest project is that we worked together with families and walked them through the process of creating a podcast. So the kids got to learn all of the technical pieces, all the moving parts. The parents really got to walk side by side with their kids and start to be really inquisitive, to ask them things like, what do you want to talk about? What is meaningful for you? What are your gifts and talents, and how can we use that to showcase them on a forum like a podcast? And the way that I love to teach podcasting is through video, so that at the end of the day, it's no more work for a parent or a kid. They're on their device, they're making videos, they're doing these things already. But now where the magic happens is, how can we take the adventures you have put together and then repurpose them in a different format to reach more people? And that's really what I love to do with anyone who comes to me with podcasting, especially if they have kids in their lives, whether it's their own kids or their grandkids or someone they've met out in their community. Maybe it's the next door neighbor who, there's something special about them. You see that there's a gift that maybe is not being recognized, that you could just pluck them up and say, look, I value you. I value what you do. I appreciate your gifts and talents. And I want to help you by walking this journey of telling your story. And I think there's something so profound about taking a kid who maybe hasn't been in the spotlight before and showing them the possibility of what it could look like to stand in themselves, with 100% confidence and know that people appreciate them for who they are and what they bring to the world.
Well, and I think it's amazing too, because you're the queen of repurposing, and you have taught parents how they can do basically video scrapbooking or video recording to create memories. And I have to tell you, you won me over way back the first time I met you. But when you were talking about that, I thought, with going through the loss of my child, I understand how valuable that is. And even if you never, like, your child grows, old and past you, survives you, you still are so appreciative of those memories. And I had just gotten some old VHS tapes that I had converted into something that I could play now, because I obviously did not have a VCR anymore. But when I got those, I was so impacted by your mission to help parents create those memories, because I was like in the middle of enjoying the memories I had watching, 30 years ago, my little baby do these things. And I'm thinking, what a great gift for parents.
Yeah.
You don't just do one thing. I think that's what I love about you, is you don't do just one thing for one purpose. You do one thing and it goes out for so many different purposes. Your podcast is now on 60 platforms.
So yeah, our message, so our videos, our audios are now on more than 60 platforms. Wow. As of last month. And that feels amazing, because yeah, there are kids and families who want to preserve memories. And, I view a podcast as the legacy we can leave to those that we love. Because
and I love the
afterwards, they still have that. They can pull it up, they can watch those videos, they can listen to those audios, and they can be transported back to that exact moment in time and feel the emotions, feel the happiness, feel the joy. And I think that, that's really one of the greatest gifts that we can give to others in our lives, is this message and just this idea of serving and preserving memories, and really just making that digital scrapbook that is not going to get locked away in our phone, that nobody gets to enjoy, right? I know I was looking at my phone yesterday, and there's probably 2,000 pictures and videos on there. And I just think to myself, gosh, what a tragedy that is, because I only remember that time when I go back and intentionally scroll through those pictures. But what if we could take those memories and document them where they're going to have a shelf life that could be indefinite, and that there's just something so magical about helping families do that and helping business owners do that, because we all go through things that are challenges. And if other people can start to be inspired by that, or they can learn from the mistakes that we've made, gosh, what a wonderful way that we can help to celebrate one another through this medium that is so easy these days.
Well, I have to say that is such a blessing. I mean, I remember after my husband passed away, he had just gotten a brand new phone, and you weren't able to do video yet, but you were able to take a picture, and you were able to do an audio. And it was I think it was for Mother's Day or anniversary or something. And he had gotten his new phone, and he always did roses of red palms for me.
Oh.
And he took a picture of some roses, and I did the audio, and I found it like 3 or 4 years later. And I can't tell you, I still have it, and it's such a blessing. So what a great, great concept and idea that you have. I mean, that's just totally awesome.
Well, thank you. And I love that you shared that story, Coni, because that really is the power, because maybe it gets forgotten for a while. But then when you find those things and you run across those things and you get to experience that emotion, I mean, that's just, what a wonderful gift he left to you because of that. And you'll have that forever. And that's so much what I want for families, and especially families who are business owners. If they can start doing those things together, I mean, wow, how powerful would that be if we could think and look back at those positive moments and then remember those in times when it's not so positive. to help us
Absolutely.
change our perspective.
Well, and I'll be honest, that was one of the things that took me back, like you're saying, the emotions that take you back. It took me back to that place of reminding me why this conference is even important to me. It took me back to that place of celebrating again, because, I hope that everyone who's watching understands the great loss that you suffered, because it was a great loss. But the thing that you did to start your healing process now is turned into something that goes and impacts, thousands of families that their generations after them will be changed because of what you've done. I mean, I think that that's something that needs to be said out loud. It's not just you locked yourself in a room and you didn't come out. It's that not only did you go in deep in technology and learn some things, you're helping a lot of us be able to take our messages to the world also in such a bigger way because of what you've learned. Your Alexa flash briefings, is that right? How you say it? I went on and, I thought it was so sweet of you. I'm just going to give you kudos right here, because I didn't know how to do it. I didn't even know how to find it. And you went on and did a video and taught everyone how to do it so they could get on. And I loved it because one of the first things I got from you on it was about delegating, automating, and
Deleting.
And it was right at the moment where I was in great overwhelm because we were getting ready for this conference. And Christy Garcia stepped up and said, I will do this. I will. And I thought how funny it was that you had to convince me on your little 2-minute thing that was something I should do. I should not be hard-headed, because I think we get hard-headed. I do. And
I don't.
And I think it's amazing that you never know who you're touching, because I realize your audience is for families, but my youngest is 28, and I love what you teach. I can't help it. I don't even have babies at home to do stuff with, but you've taught me so much, and I don't even know if you realize how much you've taught me. And
that means so much, Kim.
But I am grateful because you are facilitating us being able to go out to even farther to serve. That's the whole thing for me, is the more technology and the more delegating of things and automating of things I can do, the more people I can actually serve.
Absolutely. And to think about what these kids could create if we start opening doors to them now and saying, this is what's possible. But then getting them to question the status quo and say, well, if this is possible, why can't this be possible? And as you were just talking, I was envisioning us being beamed into a single room where we could stand next to each other via technology. And I just think the kids who are growing up in this age are so blessed because they have this technology, and they just need to be guided to use it properly so that they can be the ones to create new and exciting things that we can enjoy in the future.
Oh, I so agree. And you don't know who you're instructing. That's another thing. You don't know who it is that is going to take your classes or the things that you offer that are going to be the next one that discovers the way we can be in the same room together, miles apart. The things that are so we were having a conversation yesterday when we were driving that I just expect at some point we won't have to have phones.
Yeah.
We'll be able to talk or do whatever, without that. And I think that all this technology is not a new thing. I think we've just had to discover it.
Right. It's just waiting out there for us to step into it.
Absolutely. And I just saw the other day, I don't know if it was in my news feed or if I was looking at Amazon, but a book popped up and it was called, I think, Finding the Next Steve Jobs. And I thought that was so profound because, everything that we expose our kids to now, we don't know who is going to have that skill. We don't know how they're going to do it. And that's a really exciting thing because, Kim, even though your kids are older, you likely run across kids in your daily life. And, as you're interacting with them, if we can start interacting in a way that uplifts them and shows them that there are possibilities beyond getting that 9-to-5 job. That's really also what excites me so much, is that if we can start getting these kids to think independently and giving them these tools to do that, and just letting them explore the possibilities and not knowing who that next great is. I mean, all the kids are great, of course. There's going to be some kids who go on to innovate beyond what we could even conceive of today. And it starts with having a conversation with these kids.
Well, and I love the fact that you are helping other people do. Sometimes we run across people who are very competitive or very closed-minded, and they're afraid to tell someone what they know because they might do the same thing. And you are about as far from that as like you can possibly get on the spectrum. You are so far away from that. You are constantly on your business page and in the group giving, great advice, great tips and secrets, and teaching us how to do things that I just appreciate the fact that you are also a server of other people. Like, you share those things that are important because, talking about the loss of your brother turning into a way to cope, which was the technology, and then turning that into a business and a podcast on all these different platforms now, impacting all these thousands of families and all of the people that are going to be affected by them. But then also I want to point out that all of the business owners out there, especially online business owners, are trying to figure out all these different things, and we don't know where to start sometimes, and we don't know what the thing is, and we don't know. And you give such practical, like, step by step. It's like with the flash briefings, you held your phone up and said, "This is where the button is." And I was like, that is definitely what this princess needs. And so I feel like that's another part of the hope thing. It doesn't have to just be like the loss of a son or the loss of a husband or a brother. It can also be when you feel lost in technology and you feel lost in the ability to do your business because you don't know how to do, for example, a podcast. I love what you say about podcasting being, one of the best marketing tools there are for a business.
Yeah, it's for sure a great tool to have in your toolkit. And I think when I look at business owners online or even locally, I have this little superpower of being able to see some of the potential things they could be utilizing in their business, like their kids, that could really make an impact. And for me, I'm really all about how can I do one thing and make it into many, kind of like this conference. How you took this idea of celebrating your son and now you're being broadcast to so many more people because they need to hear this message. And that's what, as you're thinking about your business, whether online or off, being able to share your voice and your story is super important. And I have to say, Kim, for years and years and years, I was super guarded about what I did in my business of my performing arts school because everywhere I turned in my little small town, there were other people doing that business. And I would put something up and, a day later, I see something that looks the same. And I kept thinking, okay, I'm going to just stop putting things out there because I really liked the idea of collaboration. But all of a sudden, they're starting to, emulate really a lot of things, from the verbiage on their website page to what their graphics look like. And I was mortified. So for a while there, I was like, I'm not doing anything more. I don't want to be, I love being an innovator and leading the pack. But at that point, I just felt like, gosh, the more that I do, the more that I create, the more people who are borrowing stuff. So been an interesting journey from going to that place where I didn't want to share. I didn't want to take center stage. I didn't want to share the message. I wanted somebody else to share the message for me because I thought my work was just going to stand alone because it was so awesome, of course, right? The shows we were creating and these kids we were helping to raise up, that was going to be my legacy and help to shape the next generation. But because I was so closed about it, I think that that definitely led me down this path as well, because I was just tired of having that feeling of that yuck. And now with businesses online, there's going to be somebody who does exactly what we do. And that's actually a pretty cool thing because it leaves the room open for some collaboration. Yes. Because even though you could be doing the same thing as somebody else, they're not doing it like you. They're not adding your flavor, as Kim would say. They don't have your backstory. They don't live your life. They don't walk your shoes. They don't know what's going on internally. So to see somebody else online who's doing something similar, don't let that dissuade you. I've been there. I've done that. Please learn from this mistake that the more open you are, the more giving you are, the more people are attracted to you. And it's the right people. And even people who do similar things, they could become a biz bestie. They could be somebody that you do a conference with. You just don't know what's going to happen in the future. So all I can say now is, stand bravely in who you are. Let the spotlight shine on you. Enjoy that feeling. And don't be afraid to share who you are and what you offer to the world.
I think that's really, really a very important message. James Wedmore, I think it was James Wedmore, said that when you think you have shared too much or you think you don't want to share anymore, share more.
Yeah. That's really profound advice. And the whole concept of the DAD, the DAD, actually came from me listening to James Wedmore's podcast. There was an episode about that. And I just love that technology lets us be exposed to new ideas that can spark the next conversation, that can spark that next podcast, can help us create what we want to share daily. When I set out to do this daily show, I was a little bit mortified and scared and felt the fear. And I knew because I felt it, I had to really lean into it because I knew it was going to be that next level for me. But it was definitely scary. And I had no idea what I was going to talk about. So I asked a ton of people, and they kind of all just said, whatever you share is going to be great. And I thought, but I don't know what I want to share yet. But going through the process now, I love doing it because I can take what's going on in my life, and I can take my challenges and my failures and say, okay, guys, guess what? I messed up, and here's how you can learn from that. And being able to put a different spin on things. And I just think, it's one of the many reasons why I love technology and devices is because it opens up these possibilities for us where we can start to be inspired by really seemingly ordinary things. And from that, we put our own spin on it, our own flavor on it. And that in turn opens more doors for us.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I think that you have such a gift, that you don't maybe even realize. You like to repurpose things, but I think you have a gift in that area because you see things that are done, but you see them it's almost to me like a diamond. You see it on all these different facets. This part of the same thing that's done can be over here and over there, but they look different because they're all of these little shiny parts that all come together to make this one thing. And I think that you're brilliant in your technology, and it's not because you know everything. I don't want anyone listening to think that, that it's not attainable to do the things like you're doing, and I think that's the most precious part about what you share with us in those things is you teach us how to do the same thing. You're not closed off from that because you have learned, that that everybody, and I love the flavor thing, I do. But if someone, comes and learns something from you and finds out how amazing your flavor is, and they follow you, that doesn't take away from us.
Yeah.
Like, that adds to us because you're part of us. And so if you succeed, we succeed. I mean, it's such a different mindset
Totally different.
than the scarcity and all of that. It's the really pouring into people. And I see you do that. I see you do that in, groups that we're in. I see you do that in a class we took together. I see you do that in just so many ways. I just want to acknowledge that out loud publicly because, sometimes things are not said that should be said. And I think that should be said about you, that you really do have a gift for repurposing and seeing things in different, different viewpoints. And then you share that with all of us as entrepreneurs.
Well, thank you for saying that. It means more to me than you could possibly know. And when I think about what you're saying and listening to it, when I think about where all these ideas come from, I think it really stems from me being a dancer and a performer and a choreographer, because you always have to make tweaks and adjust for the stage, and you have to adjust because of the lighting. So I think that having that life definitely led me to that point too. So for all of you who are watching as well, if you're working right now in a business that may not light you up, and you don't see a correlation between the two of where you want to go, I'm here to let you know that there definitely is. There's something that's going to connect you from where you are now to where you want to be. Who would have thought that a dancer, choreographer, studio owner would now be working in technology? And the one common thread that I found for the whole thing was these kids, right? These kids were the missing piece when I was just doing technology with other business owners. There was something missing, that void that I felt. And when I connected those pieces in a very roundabout way, that's when magic has started to happen. I've met people like Kim and Coni who literally we've just barely met, but it feels like we have known each other for years. And again, one of the most powerful things about technology and our devices is that it allows us to communicate in real time, to make real connections and real friendships.
Yes. And, the funny thing is I do think what you just said is so funny, because we have not had the privilege of meeting in real life yet.
Soon.
And I say yet because it will happen.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But it feels like it has, because we've had Zoom calls, and we've talked on the phone, and we've communicated and gotten to know each other really pretty well, especially wrapped around our both of our visions. I mean, both of the things that we want to do and accomplish. And I think it kind of goes back to that attracting thing. You had even taught about that on one of your live videos about, we attract the law of attraction. And I think we attract what it is we are wanting or we're becoming. I think we have to be that person. And I think that's the cool part about getting connected with biz besties, is that we don't have to be doing the same exact business.
No.
Or we can be doing exactly the same business. Like, It doesn't matter either way.
Yeah.
But we support each other, and we're there for each other. And to me, anyone that's out there doing business, it can get lonesome if you don't understand how to find biz besties. And so that's another, you've brought all kinds of different flavors of hope today, because I think that's another thing to add to what you're saying is, if you're out there and you feel alone, if you've suffered loss, we really do, understand loss. Mm-hmm. And you can get, through it. And if you've come to the place in business where technology is spanking you, which I come to often.
Me too.
You can get through that. And if you're out there and you're feeling alone because you're in business and you don't have a biz bestie right now, you need to get online and you need to find groups like we're in. You need to follow Young on her page, and you know, she's a great biz bestie. So I mean, I think that that's a thing that there's not really excuses anymore. Like in this day of technology, we can reach people who are, I mean, you're what, 2,000 miles away from me right now, something like that.
Pretty close, probably about a 2 or 3 day drive. Yeah.
And so even with that, you're right here with us. I mean, you know, you're able to be on the conference with us and bless so many people that will see this. And to me, I think that that's super sexy. I mean, it's just a sexy way of bringing hope to other people, because I think that there's so many different things going on in everybody's life. It's not like this conference is just about one thing. It's about all those things that come up in our lives, and we need to know we can survive it, and not just survive it, but good things can come out of things that seem so bad at the time.
Absolutely.
So I am thankful. We're out of time. I don't even want to stop. This is the trouble you and I always have. We never want to stop talking, but I love you, and just I appreciate what you're doing for all the kids. I appreciate for what you're doing for this princess. So thank you for being on the Hope to Hope.
And Young, it was such a great opportunity to be able to get to actually talk to you. It's so nice to really hear your story, and what a great story it is.
Well,
keep on sharing with those kids, let me tell you.
Thank you, Coni. Thank you so much. I'm so honored to have been asked to be part of this, and I hope that this serves people who are watching. And I just want to leave everyone with the message of, you have a story, your kids have a story, and people need to hear it.
Yes.
I love it.
And we will post how to get in contact with Young, because I want everyone to go and follow you. You are just amazing. You're like, just, I'm just going to tell you. And if you don't have Alexa Flash briefings, you need to go watch her video and then go get it, because it is going to be a hot thing. I have already been enjoying that, because it's just snippets. It's like short things, and we're all busy. So short is good.
Yes.
So we love it. Anyway, this is Coni Meyers.
Coni Meyers with Kick Butt Leadership.
And Kim White with the My Sexy Business team. And we're signing off for the Hope to Hope conference. We'll be back at 12. 12
that's right.
Central Standard Time. I'm like, we'll be back to actually interview Miss Coni. So we'll see you in a little bit.
I guess I should know what time. Take care, Young.
Bye.